Hey guys, Brig here, and today, whilst we open up the mail and see how much gold we've made over the past week, I want to talk to you guys about how you can get into gold making. Maybe for any of you who are new or just looking to start out in the gold making, how can you get into it, what sort of stuff should you be doing, etc, etc. And the first thing, guys, is to have a goal. So what is your goal for gold making? I think this is very important because if you don't really have a goal, you're not going to be driven to go and do the slightly more boring things such as posting your auctions every day, doing a farm, whatever you want to do. You're not really going to be driven to do it unless you have a goal in mind. So your gold making goal can be anything. A lot of people set the long boy mount, the 5 million gold vendor mount as their goal. But if you're just starting out, you probably want to set a slightly shorter term goal, such as paying for a WoW token every month to play WoW for free, something like that. I remember my first gold making goal a few years ago was to get the Mammoth, the vendor mount Mammoth from Dalaran. That was my original goal, and it's not that much gold, but back then it was a bit harder to get, and it did take me a while, but eventually I got there, and that kind of really drove me forward because once I hit my first goal, I then started thinking bigger. I was like, right, now I want to get to my first 100k. Now I want to get to my first million, etc, etc. So set yourselves short-term and long-term goals. Anyway, once you've sorted out your goals, I think the next most important thing is to have a plan of action. So a plan in terms of how you're going to achieve your goals. What are you going to do to make it happen? And it's probably going to involve a few different things. For starters, I would suggest everyone who wants to get into gold making learns TSM, Trade Skill Master. I've recently done a guide on it for complete beginners. But even if you're kind of slightly experienced with it, I suggest you get a lot more experience with it because Trade Skill Master is really going to help with your gold making. So one of your goals could be to learn Trade Skill Master. I would always recommend that. And you really want to plan out how you're going to do everything. For example, are you going to start watching some guides to learn Trade Skill Master? Are you going to start watching some guides to, find some good farming routes or find some good ways to craft? If I was first going to start getting into gold making right now, I would put a plan in action. So for 10 minutes every day, I'm going to do a bit of research. I'm going to favorite the WoW Economy subreddit. I'm going to join the WoW Economy Discord. I'm going to follow some main gold makers on Twitter and YouTube. And I'm just going to plan to spend a few minutes every day reading about the latest gold making trends, the latest gold making ideas, because learning from other people is probably the best way to make gold in the game. It's pretty much impossible to think of novel ways of making gold. It does happen, but it's a lot easier and a lot better if you can learn from other people. And it's never too late to learn. I'm always learning new stuff from other people. And that's certainly what I would try and do if I was to start off with gold making right now. And I think it's also important to plan your different strategies for making gold, because you might not realise, but there are so many different ways to make gold in the game, and you need to really plan out what you want to do, what you're going to enjoy to make gold, because if you don't have fun making gold, then there's really no point in it. You always want to have fun, and I think that's very, very important. So I would have a little think and just say, right, do I like farming? Am I interested in running old dungeons? Do I like watching old farming streams or whatever? And if you are interested in that, then say, right, for a couple of hours every week, I'm going to farm old raids, I'm going to farm old dungeons, something like that. Or perhaps you're like me and you're not into farming and maybe you like crafting. So you're going to say, right, for a couple of hours every single week, I'm going to craft stuff on all of my different toons. And I'm going to try and get as much crafted gear on the auction house as possible. Maybe you're big into raiding or PvP or Mythic Plus and you want to start selling boosts for gold in some of those things. That is a perfectly legitimate way of making gold, and if you're into that, it's actually a fairly fun way of making gold. So I just kind of get a plan of action together of how you are going to make your gold. Maybe you're going to do a bit of everything, maybe you're going to concentrate on one specific thing. Just make sure you kind of understand the different gold making methods and what's going to be best for you. And I know I haven't really been talking about many of the BOE flips in this video, but you guys know the picture. I do it every mailbox opening. I just flip the BOEs on my different servers. I'll give you a couple of examples. This guy we bought for 90 gold and just sold it for 152. And this guy we bought for 40k and we just sold it for 66. So pretty much double the gold, over 50%, and that's my usual profit margin. Obviously for the pets it's a lot more, but as you guys know, that's what I do. We're not going to go too much into that in this video. Anyway, you guys should now have thought of your gold making goal, whatever that might be. You should have thought of your longer term plans and your shorter term plans and how you're going to achieve those plans. So you've planned to learn TSM, you've planned to read up on some gold making guides, and you've planned that you're going to concentrate on BOE flipping on the auction house, for example. Now, the next thing to do is put all of that into action and practice, because practice makes perfect, and that's definitely the same with gold making. Once you start out, you're not going to be that good, but after a while, once you understand the markets, you understand your server, you understand how things work, it's going to be a lot easier. And that works with everything, even farming. Student Albatross and me, if we had a farming competition, he'd probably get double the gold, not because he's doubly as lucky, but because he's had so much practice. He knows the best routes for all the dungeons, he knows the best dungeons or the best farms that are in the game, and he's the quickest at doing them. I'd be really slow and rubbish, and it just wouldn't end well. So practice does make perfect, whatever you're doing. This is particularly the case when it comes to crafting and when it comes to flipping, because those things are a little bit more advanced in terms of knowledge and what you need to do, and you're not going to be that good at the start. For crafting, for example, unless you are an expert in your server, then you're not going to know the absolute best things to make, how long things make to sell, etc, etc, or how long things take to sell, and it's just not going to be a good time. You know, if you first start out and you make a load of old transmog because TSM says it's making you 50k profit, that could take months, if not years, to sell, because your server is a bit lower pop, or maybe just the transmog market's not really there, and it's not going to be great. But if you have a bit more knowledge and a bit more practice, then you're really going to do a better job. For example, I know that on the servers that I'm on, the transmog items from Inscription, such as the fans, often sell really, really well. And also the key to the plains transmog. Now, those have a really high sale rate on my server, and I know that I can always craft those, and they're always going to get me a solid bit of profit. So it's just about experiencing, practicing, seeing what's good, seeing what's not, and after a while you're going to get better and better and better at the gold making. These splatter guards I just bought one day ago for 40k, resold them for 90k, over double my gold in a day, which is really nice. And after all that, guys, the final thing to do is to expand. Expansion is very important with gold making, either expanding to different servers or expanding to different markets. Once you've mastered one thing, you need to go and master other things, because that's how you make more gold and how you exponentially increase your gold per hour. For example, you've mastered blacksmithing and enchanting that are on your main character, and you make 100,000 gold profit a week with those professions on your main character. Once you mastered that, maybe get another character sorted and get another 2 professions, because once you master those next 2 professions, you're going to be getting another 100,000 gold. And once you've done that, another character. And soon you'll have 4 characters, all with maxed out professions, and you'll be making 400,000 gold a week rather than 100,000. And you've just quadrupled your profit. It's pretty obvious, but I see a lot of people not doing this and a lot of people just being happy with what they've got. But if you want to rapidly increase your gold making, you do need to expand. And this expansion doesn't just have to be into different professions, it can be into a completely new system or a completely new way of making gold. For example, if you've just been big into crafting, why don't you try flipping? As you can see, flipping is a very, very profitable way of making gold, and if you're just into crafting, flipping isn't that much harder and it can make you a lot more gold. Or maybe you want to get a bit more raw gold because you do crafting but the gold takes a while to come in, so maybe you'll start selling some Mythic Plus boosts or something if you're a high level raider, and start getting some solid raw gold as well as the gold you get from crafting. You know, just move into different markets, different areas, and you're going to rapidly increase the gold that you make. And the very, very final thing in terms of expansion is to move to different servers. All of the richest gold makers in the game are on multiple servers. None of them just limit themselves to one server, because there's only a maximum number of people you can sell to, and it's just like a big company, you always want to expand and go to new markets and new places. So that is the very final thing, but again, I do not suggest you try your hand in different servers until you've mastered your own server and you've got a solid amount of gold. because then it really takes your gold making to the next level, but it is a lot harder. Anyway guys, that is it for this video. Overall, we have made over 3 million gold this week. In fact, it's only been 6 days, not even a week. And most of that is profit, or about half of that is profit. So 1.5 million gold in profit, again, in about 3 hours. So 300k profit per hour, which is very, very good. So I'm still doing good. Let me know how you guys are doing with your gold making, and also let me know if you enjoy this kind of video. I wanted to find a way to mix up the mailbox openings and make it a bit more fun. So if we can kind of combine a talking video with a mailbox opening video, it might make it more interesting, but do let me know in the comments. Anyway, thanks for watching guys, and until next time, see ya.